Redfall will launch capped at 30 FPS with performance mode arriving later, and now everything about the gameplay and the marketing makes perfectly good sense. The 60 FPS performance mode will not be in the game at launch date, upsetting many players who were hoping for a brand new next-gen title, and for many this sullies and ruins the launch of the game. Even content creators who went to the capture event are calling for the game's delay. In a matter of just 72 hours, we went from, hey, all of the previews are glowing and the game is great, to, quote, the game ran like crap on PCs at the capture event and they should delay the game. I'm going to do everything I can to break this down from multiple angles because there is a lot to consider here about this game. There's a lot of questions that we now have, and this is honestly bigger than just Redfall. This touches so many subjects that we have covered recently: the ABK deal, Starfield, developers underneath Microsoft's ownership. So make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button. I put all the good info right here at the beginning so you don't have to go looking for it. So Redfall has officially announced from its Twitter account that it will launch with 30 FPS modes only. And while 60 FPS mode is promised to arrive at a later date, they are actually doing something that is upsetting to many people. For many people, this is unsettling, and the questions that we have to ask come with likely pretty disappointing answers. I want to break this up into two parts. I want the first half to really be about the history of the game up to now, and the second half, I will be asking all of those hard questions. So first, we're just going to look at the tweet, we're going to look at what they said, then we're going to look at the fact that the game has been delayed already and people are calling for another delay. I want to consider the price increase, and then I want to say the truth about the gameplay, because I think it has to be considered. Arkane has made games before. What is so bizarre about this game? We don't know. The second half of the video, I want to ask some pretty hard questions. I want to ask about parity requirements from Xbox, since this is now an Xbox title and we haven't seen problems like this before from Arkane. And what about Starfield? What's going to happen to that game? Was the leaker right? Would the person that said this game wasn't ready and that Starfield was in worse shape, were they correct? And is the Series S to blame? Those are all the questions we're going to be asking in the second half, but here in the front half, let's just do a little history lesson. First and foremost, we have to look at the tweet. Right there it is, the tweet heard round the world. And I think the most startling thing about this wasn't that they said it, it was that they said it this early. Sort of reminiscent of the Gotham Knights situation where their 30 FPS thing got debuted and, announced in a Discord quietly because they were trying to hide that from the community. They even banned people in their Discord for asking about it. This one shows up early on the official Redfall Twitter account. And this early, I think, feels like something that Microsoft would not have approved given the recent marketing and the PR push about the game's quality. In just a matter of days, we've gone from the game being defended with montages and the IGN footage being ridiculed to people calling for the game to be delayed, which is what I'd like to talk about next. It cannot be ignored that this game has already been publicly delayed once and allegedly internally delayed a second time. This obviously points to potential problems with the game itself. Is it the team, or is it something worse? The initial delay already looks different given the creative director's remarks about scrapping the PS5 version. He said, and I quote, "It's a good decision, I think. It helps support Game Pass and have one less platform to worry about, one less complexity." Well, you shrunk this game down to one platform and it's still not ready, and it's not even going to launch complete. You're going to launch it without performance mode on a next-gen console. This is generally true and supported by testimony of other developers. When you're building a game for just one system, it tends to make things easier. They talk about it making the games easier to optimize, and you end up with better games. So what happened with Redfall? In light of his comments, what's the real issue here? And the call for another delay from the very same people who were just doing a round of PR celebrating how great the game is? The optics on this are terrible. At every level, this looks bad. It looks bad on Microsoft ownership of Bethesda, and it reinforces concerns over the ABK deal. It looks bad on Xbox, given that this is supposed to be one of the first big titles for the platform. platform and for Game Pass this year. It looks bad for all the content creators and the outlets who went to bat for this game after the capture event, and more on that in a minute. It's bad for every single Xbox Series X owner who bought this system for next-gen performance. And if you don't think this looks bad, then you haven't been paying attention. Aaron Greenberg tweeted the following back in 2020. 60 FPS will be the standard output, but the architecture allows for us up to support for 120 FPS. What in the world? 60 FPS is supposed to be the standard output. So all the people who are out here coping and saying, oh, 30 FPS is fine. They can be fine for you, but it's not fine for the platform. And it certainly isn't fine for first-party property to come out in this state. Imagine if God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West would have launched in this way. Nobody would have accepted that. They would have said, why is your game not ready? Especially after multiple delays and a price increase. This also, I think, post from Phil Spencer is relevant. He was talking in a blog post back at the same time about the Xbox Series X when they were doing their round of marketing, and he says here that 60 FPS output will be the standard output. 120 could exceed the 60 FPS standard output, but they don't have to do it. So in their mind, this thing was supposed to just be doing 60 on everything, and then 120 was an option. So anybody saying that 30 FPS is no big deal or that 60 FPS was never promised, they're just lying. They're attempting to rewrite history. And what about the price increase, right? The delay of Redfall and Starfield was compounded by a price increase to $70. The other day when I tried to outline why Redfall looked bad, I asked that question. Have we seen anything from Redfall that looks worthy of a price increase to $70? Does it even look like a fully priced AAA game? As I said the other day, Redfall is shaping up to be another perfect game for Game Pass for all the wrong reasons. People are going to feel like they dodged a bullet by not buying a crappy game. The motto for Game Pass should not be, thank God I didn't buy another bad game, especially when the game is a first-party title. This is after an acquisition. So before we move on to asking the hard questions, we have to face the truth. The truth is, we haven't seen anything from Redfall that warrants being unable to hit 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X. Colt Eastwood even has admitted that it ran poorly at the capture event, right? When he was asked why he didn't include this, you can see right there, optimization's the reason. The game ran like crap on PC. When he was asked, hey, why didn't you include that in your coverage? Why wouldn't you tell people about that, right? That seems like a pretty big deal. He says that it was because it was running on middleware PC and that the build was old, so he didn't think it was worth mentioning. If I went to a capture event, I've been to these before, and the game ran really, really bad, I would make sure people knew that. Like, could have been an old version, could need patched, could have been an old build, and that just wasn't included in the coverage. We literally went from everybody celebrating this game. We were using montages. Everybody was decrying the IGN footage, and now we're acting like, well, no, yeah, the game ran really bad on PC and they should just delay it. Now, I'm not showing these tweets to, like, call out Colt Eastwood, right? You can come to your own conclusions about why or why not somebody going to a capture event would include something in their coverage. But the fact of the matter is, those of us who thought something was off about the gameplay, we were right. The game is not ready for launch. This calls so much into question. We looked at the famous image from all of the games promised for the first half of 2023 during the Xbox Bethesda showcase. And out of 25 titles, 9 titles are not making it. They're not even launching in the first half of 2023 like they were supposed to. 9 out of 25. This one basically is number 10 because it's not making it either. Redfall might as well be classified as not ready since it's launching without standard next-gen options. Keep in mind, this is supposed to be standard output according to Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg. These are their own words. So the truth is, we have another game under Microsoft ownership coming to market when it isn't ready, just like Halo Infinite. And everybody's going to point to Halo Infinite's Metacritic score. That's the campaign. Halo Infinite multiplayer launched in an abysmal state, bugs, glitches, errors, and missing features. They actually launched it in a beta state. So stop acting like Halo Infinite was a triumph that just failed to give you ongoing content. That's another lie lie that people tell you. It's hard to ignore in this equation both Deathloop and Ghostwire. They landed as multi-plat games, and they had the full sort of suite of performance options. What's the problem with this game? Why did Deathloop and Ghostwire, who actually started as timed exclusives for PlayStation, so they're basically multi-platform games, why did they land with no problems? I mean, yes, Ghostwire's having some performance issues on Xbox, but they have performance options. They have those abilities. What is this game doing? What is Redfall doing that's keeping it from doing this? So now we have to start asking the hard questions. Second half of this sort of opening monologue here. What about parity? Is this something that is coming from Microsoft? We know that Evil West and Wild Hearts launched on the Xbox platform, and they simply did not give a 60 FPS option to the Series S, right? My concerns about the Series S are going to be in this monologue. You know I'm going there, okay? So I have to wonder, is Microsoft pushing out a policy about performance parity between the Series X and the S for first-party titles? Some have speculated that there is feature parity already in place between the Series X and the S. Like, hey, you can't offer a feature to the X that the S doesn't get. That could be related to the Baldur's Gate 3 port challenges. They said they were unable to get split-screen co-op to work to the same standard on both the Xbox Series X and the S, right? So you can't give one split screen and the other not, right? That would look really bad. So Microsoft could be requiring some measure of performance parity with respect to the Series X and the S, and that could be a related cause here. Or perhaps performance mode is considered a feature and some measure of feature parity must be maintained. Maybe they're more strict with their first-party titles. So even if performance mode sees better all performance on the Series X, it would still need to be offered to the Series S as well. If any version or measure of what I just said is true, then the entire console generation for Xbox has been hamstrung, which leads everybody to ask the biggest question in the room. This is the elephant in the room. What about Starfield? This has been a major point of concern and speculation for a while now. Todd Howard has been quoted as saying, quote, "We don't have a problem with 30 frames per second as long as it looks really good and the simulation is running and all that stuff." All that stuff, I guess, is more important than a game running its standard output on the Xbox, right? Given the visible performance issues with Starfield in the first gameplay debut, I think concern over 30 FPS is valid. Now, I would say that concern has grown into a full-blown and pointed question that the Starfield showcase should aim to answer, okay? The outcry and the anger over Redfall is a bonfire compared to the forest fire that will result from Starfield being capped at 30 FPS. If you start looking at Starfield and you start looking at the rumors of the timed PlayStation 5 exclusive from the reliable source that talked about it, you really have to start to wonder, what's the cause of all of this? A mid-developer acquisition that saw entire versions of games scrapped cannot be ignored in the equation of quality that we get in Starfield and Redfall. It also makes you wonder about the timing and the intentions of Arkane and Bethesda, which really, I think, starts to get into some strange theories. Jason Schreier had his own theory. "I think Redfall looks neat," he says, "but between this, the PR marketing decisions, and the release date 4 days after Star Wars and 10 days before Zelda, it sure seems like Bethesda wants it to fail." I think this is an interesting observation. Why did Redfall creative director let the scrapped version of the PS5 even come out? Why did he even let that out of the bag? Why did the Redfall Twitter account send that tweet? Why is the release date in a terrible spot? Is this some form of passive mutiny? Has the acquisition gone in a direction that Bethesda didn't want it to? And before you start saying, well, Microsoft did this, consider the following. According to Jason Schreier, Bethesda has its own PR and marketing department and a lot of autonomy. Well, a lot of autonomy for now, it seems. Why would Bethesda allow for so many bumbles unless this is all intentional? Do you guys remember when we covered the Redfall situation and I said that Phil Spencer didn't lie, but I showed you this shot here of what Todd Howard said? When they got acquired, he said, like our original partnership, this one is about more than one system or one screen. In their mind, when this acquisition happened, they might have thought, we're just going to keep putting out great games. This is about more than one system. That was Todd Howard's vision for this acquisition. And then guess what happens? They immediately get told to scrap the Redfall and the Starfield versions for PlayStation 5. It's almost as if scrapping those doesn't really square with what Todd Howard was saying in the announcement about the merger. I could envision a morale shift that would lead to crappy versions of Redfall and Starfield, or at least versions that aren't ready. This doesn't mean this has been manufactured or they're doing this on purpose, but it certainly could be an emergent property from watching all of your work get scrapped, half of your community and half of your work just gets thrown into the trash. What if there were bonuses for the employees or C-suite employees that were tied to sales quantity? Sales quantity's been gutted for both of these games because you're landing on one platform and a huge amount of the people that are going to play these games are going to play them on Game Pass. You could look to PC sales, but that's nothing compared to all of the PlayStation sales that they potentially lost. And now, it seems to me, they're just shoving the game out on Game Pass and being like, you know what? Let's just get this thing out the door. They might even know that when this is all said and done, they're going to get repurposed. As I said the other day, you're no longer Bethesda. You're no longer Arkane. You develop for Microsoft. And when you develop for Microsoft as a first-party developer, you're a Game Pass developer, and that has to be considered in this equation. Just a theory. I'm not saying they're doing this on purpose, but if the morale shift was strong enough, I'm worried for both Starfield and Redfall. Now, what about the Series S? I gotta go here. You know I gotta go here because I've been saying this for a very long time. If feature and performance parity has been forced on the devs in the wake of scrapping all their work for the PS5, this has to be considered. I'm going to continue to point to the Series S as a self-made Trojan horse, and I will continue to be called a hater and a Sony pony, and I don't care because I think time and evidence are on my side. I believe that Redfall is just the beginning of what first-party Xbox titles will look like, and the Series S is the anchor dragging them down. Other than Forza, you can't really point to a single next-gen title that is performing well on the Series S. Between 900 and 1080 dynamic resolutions consistently used to achieve inconsistent 60 FPS. It's not a next-gen system. Those are old-gen stats. 900p. 1080 dynamic resolution. That's old gen performance. We got that like 9 years ago. Sony just has to continue launching first party titles with a host of performance options, and they look better by default. And this isn't Sony fandom. This is a market reality when you compare the two systems right now. And last, but certainly not least, what if the leaker was right? Remember the famous leaker, and everybody said that they were full of it? What if he was right? He said that Redfall was coming first and was still in rough shape, and that Starfield was in worse shape, and Bethesda was actually pulling for Starfield to land in the fall instead of June. A lot of what the leaker shot, a lot of what he said came true. People shot him down. Conveniently, some of the people that shot him down rely on their own leaks and notoriety because of what they get to leak and their inside information. So, discounting and denouncing this guy, it's good for their business. It's good for their bottom line to make it seem like, oh, this guy's not going to scoop me. His batting average just shot way up because now we're looking at Redfall. Not ready. It's not ready to launch. And isn't it interesting? Starfield didn't land in June. It landed in the fall. Seems like maybe this guy knew what he was talking about. Seems like maybe he had inside information. In light of both the history of Redfall and the questions that 30 FPS brings up, I can't help but think this is just the beginning of another disappointing year for Xbox. If two of your biggest next-gen games for Xbox and Game Pass are 30 FPS poorly optimized messes, I don't think many will let you recover from that PR downslide. And this is the company that you want to have own ABK? Maybe some of our concerns about Microsoft ownership are starting to make sense, but that's probably just wishful thinking. Let me give you my thoughts and my conclusions. Number one, the Redfall announcement about 30 FPS at launch is not something that can be hand-waved away. This should draw skepticism and concern surrounding the ZeniMax acquisition, and it should further the conversation about developers floundering under Microsoft ownership. Halo Infinite and Redfall could be the beginning of a pattern that should have everyone not just pumping the brakes, but bailing out of the car who are supporting the ABK deal. Number 2, all eyes just shifted to Starfield. Redfall will likely receive lackluster scores and be a distant memory by the time June rolls around. And if Starfield cannot rise above this 30 FPS Redfall tidal wave, it will get buried by its own 30 FPS, and it won't be a tidal wave. It'll be a tsunami. My conclusion is, as someone who has been excited for both Redfall and Starfield since the beginning, I can't help but feeling torn. I feel a sense of vindication for those who just claimed I was hating, because the truth can be plainly seen. Redfall is a mess, but I also feel bad. Not just for me, I feel bad for all the Xbox owners out there who bought into this ecosystem, who bought into this generation, who have been giving virtually nothing since Series X and Series S launched. Very scant offerings and a line of disappointments. I've been trying to tell you that I'm on your side, and many of you have spit in my face and called me a Sony pony. If that wasn't you, and you're angry about this, and you feel betrayed by Xbox, then I'm in your corner. But some of you are getting what you deserve. Did you mislead the public? Did you become a PR mouthpiece for a game that you knew had problems? Did you attack anybody who had questions or criticisms of a game hitting your favorite platform? Well, then enjoy this moment. You earned it. And that's the show open. That's the show open. Welcome in to another discussion. And yeah, that's a full-on gloves-off haymaker swing. You've earned this moment. It's yours. Stand tall. Stand tall. Xbox fans, Game Pass overpriced, no worries. No games, no worries. Game at 30 FPS, no worries. Like, right? Come on. Diablo has a great mobile game out and was playing it yesterday. Oh, don't start talking about that. Minch Tree with 19 months. This isn't a system seller. The game should be delayed. It just furthers the notion about Game Pass. Fill the funnel regardless of quality. Frame rate doesn't matter. When it's patched, it'll still be on Game Pass. Oh, you're just saying just delay it. You're like, it's just a Game Pass game. I mean, that's an interesting perspective. I will say that. I will say that. Totally agree with you, Lono. I bought a Series S and I barely touch it. I'm pleased with some of the Xbox guys actually calling it like it is. Props to those guys. Between Redfall's CMA fiasco and this fiasco, what do you think Xbox feel about Arkane at the moment? A problem child? I mean, I'm telling you, listen to me. I've got a theory. Hey, let's get the sub goal going for the day, and let's get some coffee sales going for the day. My other internet is out, so I am not streaming on the Tickety Talk, and I am not streaming on Kick today. My Spectrum internet there's an outage in the area, and I use that internet service to stream on those platforms. So guys, smash the like button, show some support for the stream, order some coffee, become a member, give some members. Every 25 members, I gift 5. We have an amazing community here. Make sure you're a part of it. The Xbox S is a curse. You missed the super chat. Oh, I missed the super chat. Sorry, it was during the monologue. Super Googly says, not too concerned about performance since I have a 4090 system. The biggest disappointment is it doesn't come on UE5 as originally expected. Listen, I got news for you. If you got a 4090 and you really pride yourself on having a strong system, I don't think you're going to like this game very much. According to Colt Eastwood, it ran like crap on PC and it's poorly optimized. I don't think your 4090 is going to matter, brother. A $5 tip from Anime and gifted members coming in from Rainbow. Anima says, I can't help but think whenever I see optimized for the Series X and the S, it's just not a next-gen game because of the Series S. That's exactly right. I don't make predictions haphazardly, and I call them how I see them. I told people, I said, listen to me, that Series S, that is a self-made Trojan horse. It's going to hold back the entire generation, and I think we're starting to see cracks in the wall. What's your theory? I got distracted. Welcome in as members, the people that just got gifted. If anybody wants to pay it forward and gift because you just got one, you can gift one at a time. You can also jump in on your own for $5. It supports me directly. So if you just got a membership, welcome on in. Okay, so my theory is this. Todd Howard's remark in this image All right. Yo, Ghost in the Garage Gaming says we're going to hit 25 right away. We're going to hit 25 right away. This man's just going to drop it. He's going for the ECNOR award. If you gift the most members in a month, you get the ECNOR award, and then you get a free bag of coffee. It's saying that we had a blip. Oh, come on. I'm going to do something here just in case. I'm going to disable the internet on my gaming rig. I don't want to have any issues. Listen to me. That 20 bomb is amazing. Thank you for that. Guys, keep the members going. Keep the gifting going. All right, so let me go back to my theory. This quote right here is from Todd Howard. I believe that this was written in good faith. I think Todd actually thought this, and I think the opening sentence is incredibly important. He says, like our original partnership, conveying that nothing has changed. Like our original partnership, this one is about more than one system or one screen. I have a theory that in the wake of the acquisition, they were told to scrap Redfall and they were told to scrap Starfield on the PS5, and I don't think they were happy about that. That's my theory. Why else would the creative director for Redfall just let that out in an interview? Why? Why would you do that? Todd had no say in the matter? That's exactly the point that I'm making, Mo. You want to puff your chest out and be like, Todd had no say in the matter. It's Xbox's call now, baby. Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, and look at what you're getting. Imagine the morale shift of watching half of your development work go in the trash. Yeah, we've been working on this amazing game, going to have this big, broad audience. We've got fans on Sony. We've got fans on PC. We've got fans on Xbox. Microsoft walks in the room and says, everything you made for the PS5, throw it in the trash bin. Wait, what? Why? Oh, and in addition to that, we have parity policy. You need to make sure that this thing runs just as well, if not close to just as well, on the Series S. What do you think a developer is going to say to that? Okay, so we no longer have a sales incentive because it's going on Game Pass. You scrapped half of our work. Half of our audience can no longer buy the game. And I now have to optimize the game and make changes and gut things for the Series S? Okay, sure. I'll get right on that, boss. Yep. Sure. I'll get right on that. Just let me take my time. What's been happening with these games? What's been happening? We went from a game with the date in ink to delayed. Price increase. Redfall. Delayed. Price increase. Do you ever consider that this is related to the acquisition? You ever consider that? You ever consider that telling a developer they have to scrap half their work, turn their back on half their audience, and again, this is just a theory. If Microsoft walked in the room and did that, and then in addition to scrapping the PlayStation 5 versions, they also told them, we need you to make adjustments for the Series S. My lips are chapped from all that ranting. I'm telling you, I'm very, very concerned. There's so many possibilities as to what happened here. Why was Deathloop totally fine? Why was Ghostwire Tokyo totally fine? These games came out. Neither of them had performance criticisms. Now, Ghostwire is having performance problems on the Xbox. We don't know what the cause is there. Ghostwire didn't have performance issues on the PlayStation 5. Deathloop didn't have performance issues on the PlayStation 5. I'm fairly certain it didn't have any performance issues on the Xbox. Same developer. What happened? What happened? It's not optimized? But that's a given, Mo. Why is it not optimized? The creative director said, this is a good decision. It's less complex when you shrink down to one system. Well, why wouldn't it be optimized then? Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop are multi-plat games, and they have performance options. And apparently the performance issues in Ghostwire are only in some places. So we don't know the cause of what's going on with Ghostwire on Xbox. The creative director literally said that, yeah, this is fine. This is a good decision. This is going to help us. It's one system to build for. I'm trying to find the quote. I can't find the quote. It's in my notes somewhere. He says, it's a good decision, I think. It helps support Game Pass and have one less platform to worry about, one less complexity. So you don't think literally in the last 2.5 years, this decision comes down in 2020 after the acquisition, and in 2 years they can't get these games ready, they can't get them optimized? Hilly says, Microsoft did worse at 343, made them launch a not-ready game, made them dump content to hit a date, and the game fell on its face. They treat Master Chief like crap. No game is safe when the fire loads of them. Like, listen. Yeah, and then they fired loads of them. Listen to what Hilly is saying. There's a pattern emerging. Microsoft walks in the room, and you better buckle the frick up. Because in order to get Halo Infinite out on time, they scrapped 2/3 of the map. And then they barely get the game out. They bring in Joseph Staten to get the game out the door. They bring him in to get the game out the door, and then they move him, and now he's gone. You want to know why he's gone? Because he probably feels like he's got wrung out like a rag. I'm done, bro. I'm out of here. Joseph Staten left. He's like, I'm done. He had plans. He had a vision for Halo that sold me. I remember watching interviews with him. I'm like, Joseph Staten's going to turn this game around. Loads got fired because they weren't doing their job. Yeah, Mo, it's everybody's fault but Microsoft. Why do you have that level of allegiance to Microsoft? What did they do for you? What did they do? Do they send you a check every month? It's all 343's fault. It's all Joseph Staten's fault. It's all the developers' faults. Yeah, it's never Microsoft's fault. Even though former 343 employees came out and said the 18-month contractual policy was terrible. Working under that was awful. It was constant knowledge loss, constant productivity loss. Microsoft did that to Halo, not 343. He spent 20 years there? That's a lie. That's not true. They brought him in to get Halo Infinite out the door. He didn't spend 20 years there. They literally killed their boy. They killed Master Chief by sheer brute force of their policies. The people that were no longer at the company, these people had left and they were working at Respawn on Apex Legends, and they were like, bro, the policy, the contractual policy was literally one of the leading causes of problems with Halo Infinite. And here we sit. Another game coming out, not ready, under Microsoft's watch. It's like, Mo, the reason that you frustrate me and the reason I think you need to be called to the mat is because you want to give Microsoft credit anytime there's a victory. When Deathloop was getting high scores as a PS5 exclusive, you wanted to give Microsoft all the glory for that. That's an Xbox title. Why? Well, because it was a Microsoft-owned property at that point. So Microsoft gets all the glory for how good Deathloop turned out, even though Deathloop was in development almost the entirety of its development cycle before being owned by Microsoft. But you wanted to give Microsoft all the credit. It's all about ownership. I saw a guy on Twitter saying this the other day. It's all about ownership, baby. Microsoft gets all the credit once they own this stuff. Yeah, but when it's 343 and Halo, your biggest property, your biggest name, your daddy Master Chief, they put a bullet in the back of his head, and you're like, it's 343's fault. That's 343's fault. That's not Microsoft's fault. It's not Microsoft's fault. Here we go with Redfall. Not ready. We got leaks saying these games aren't ready and Microsoft wants them to come out. That sounds awfully familiar to the things that we heard about Halo Infinite. It's not ready and Microsoft is making them push it out. When is it Microsoft's fault? When? Didn't I just say they need to delay the game? This is an L? Right, but that's what I'm saying, Mo. I'm zooming out. You don't win any points with me None of these Xbox PR mouthpieces out here, they don't win any points with me by being like, oh, this game should get delayed. Bro, 72 hours ago, you were telling everybody this game was amazing. In a matter of 2 to 3 days, the whole narrative is shifted. This game's amazing. Lono, you're just being a pony. You're just being a hater. The gameplay looks awesome. Now, truth comes out. It ran like crap on the PC. It's poorly optimized, and they should delay it. Which is it? Is this a choose-your-own-adventure book where you just go backwards when you make a bad decision? You're like, oh, shoot, I picked the wrong one. Better go back and change my narrative. I'm trying to zoom out on this. This seems to be indicative of how Microsoft treats video games. They go to Halo Infinite like, it's not ready, don't care, shove it out. Don't care. Oh, it underperformed because we shoved it out? We turned it into Game Pass fodder and it underperformed? That's fine. Lay all these people off, remove Joseph Staten, and put the game on life support. Do you see why people are concerned about the ABK deal? Do you see? Do you see why people are concerned about the ABK deal? Because Microsoft will quite literally run a game into the ground and be like, why did you do this? And then shut it down. They'll do the same thing with Redfall. They'll do the same thing with Starfield. They will shove these games out so that they can have them on Game Pass, and when they're crap, half-baked, or bad, we'll turn around and everybody will get the 343 treatment. Everybody will get the 343 treatment. It was their fault. It was 343's fault. Yeah. All former employees have indicated that the 18-month contractual policy was part of the major problems with this game, and that's a Microsoft corporate policy. But it's 343's fault. Colt said they told him to shut up about Xbox and play his PC, the PC version. How is that not in the coverage? Clearly there's a huge problem with that game. I don't expect somebody to go to a capture event and come back and act like some investigative journalist and be like, guys, let me give you the skinny on this, man. They wouldn't answer my questions. I'm not saying you have to come back and do that. But if you play a game and you, quote, later say it ran like crap on the PCs that you played on, I think that should have been mentioned. That's my own personal opinion. You can do whatever you want with your coverage. But when I went to the Anthem gameplay capture event, I came back and said, played great, felt great. I had questions about endgame, and they didn't have very good answers. I told people, I said, the endgame is a question mark. I didn't feel like I got a good answer to the endgame questions. And do you want to know why I didn't get good answers to the endgame questions? Because there were no good answers to the endgame questions. They hadn't thought about any of it. If you zoom all the way out on this, the concern about ABK is so justified. Microsoft buys ZeniMax, and this is the first showing. This is the first showing. It's concerning. Are we going to turn around in the year and see Arkane treated the same way the 343 got treated? Mother Effer put together a montage to show how good it was, and then when people were dogging the IGN footage. Here's your like. Thank you, Ariel. Guys, make sure you're smashing the like button. Almost 800 people are here. Consider becoming a member or gifting some members. We already got the first 25. We can set our sights on the next milestone, which would be 50. Every 25, I have to give 5 back to the community. We have an amazing community of people here. We got a very full day. We got another reveal to watch in like 2 hours. I've got an upload about Diablo. We got a ton of content coming your way. Make sure you're subscribed. Good to see you in the chat, McCluskey. Halo Infinite was delayed by a year. It was not forced out. They gave them 7 years to make it. If anything, Microsoft went too easy on 343 for way too long. Disagree. They set them up for failure. They set them up for failure. The 18-month contract will never not make me say it's primarily Microsoft's fault. It's always primarily Microsoft's fault. When a game... Listen to me. I mean this. Any game that comes out Any game that comes out under Microsoft's ownership and it's half-baked, it's Microsoft's fault. Do you want to know why? It's almost assuredly linked to the 18-month contractual policy because nobody else in the gaming industry is doing that. If you consistently come out with games that struggle and aren't rated and aren't ready, you gotta look to structural consistencies. What's the constant here? What's the same thing that's happening here, that's happening here, that's happening here? You got different companies, different studios, different parts of the dadgum world, and it's like, what's going on? How do you not have this game ready? How does this game not have performance options? How? What did Redfall look like a year ago when it had a summer date and we saw nothing? Well, Josh, the thing was, I remember when Redfall debuted. When Redfall debuted, it was like a cinematic trailer, and we watched the trailer numerous times, and we just took clues from it. I remember saying this. I was like, it looks like it's going to be kind of like Borderlands. There's 4 different classes, and it looks like we're going to be fighting, vampires instead of zombies. It was pretty easy to deduce that it looked kind of like a Borderlands meets Left 4 Dead style of game just from the cinematic trailer, but that's all we had. I don't really remember what they showed at the summer showcase last year. When would we get the dark roast? A week or two. I would buy this. This is a medium roast. The dark roast is not roasted that much darker than this, and this is on sale right now for $12.95. It's our most popular flavor. And if you're a member, you are a member. You can get in the Discord. You can get a buy 2 get 1 free code at the bottom of the Discord. Get in our Discord if you're a member. Brutal says, Lono, I can agree that it's Microsoft's fault that it's half-baked. However, we could also say it's because of Microsoft that the game exists at all. Bethesda might not exist right now. Stop. Bethesda might not exist because of Fallout 76. Really? Starfield was already in development. Redfall was already in development when they got acquired. They're not still in existence because of that. Oh, this isn't a Punisher. All the commands are wrong. Yeah, I'm wearing glasses from Gamer Advantage and a shirt from 80s Tees, but this is not a Punisher shirt, and these are the Storm frames. These are not Horizon frames. Jedi Survivor and Zelda are going to eat this game alive. I feel sad for the devs. I'm telling you right now. Listen. I'm telling you right now. Something is going on. Something is going on. Listen to me. Track with me here. Track with me here. Why would the creative director of Redfall just happen to mention in an interview that there was a PlayStation 5 version that got scrapped? Why? On the heels of an interview where Phil Spencer says, we didn't take anything from PlayStation. Why would he say that? It was almost like he's like, oh, you didn't take anything from PlayStation? Well, the PlayStation users ought to know this. Why would the Redfall Twitter account tweet what they tweeted yesterday? Why? Are they being nice, or they're like, hey, right on the and look at the timing. Look at the timing. Right on the heels of IGN footage looking bad and a giant conversation emerging about why does Redfall look so bad? They just decide during that debate to tweet that out? You don't think that's kind of weird? I'm sure the journo brought that up. Oh, come on. It's everybody else's fault. Come on. 20 gifteds from terminal stupidity, taking us to 45, putting us on the doorstep of the next milestone today. Every 25, I've got to get 5, and we're right there next to 50. Because they're autonomous. They're not in sync with Xbox Game Studios. Ding, 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 ding. You're right. You're right. Why in the world, if you're autonomous and you're in charge, If you're in charge, what do they tweet? This is what they tweeted. Redfall is launching on Xbox consoles with quality mode only. Xbox Series X will have 4K 30. Series S will have 1440 30. I doubt that it'll maintain 1440 or even 30. 60 FPS performance mode will be added via game update at a later date. If they're more, you're not muted in chat, Filthy Casual. You're not muted. Your original name was MJ. If they're autonomous, does anybody consider the fact that they're sabotaging this game? Look, where's the Jason Schreier tweet? He says, I think Redfall looks neat, but between this, the PR, the marketing decisions, and the release date, 4 days after Star Wars and 10 days before Zelda, it sure seems like Bethesda wants it to fail. Yo, Terminal Stupidity and Ghosts in the Garage Gaming are competing for the Eknor Award. Oh, and we just got bumped to 55. We just got bumped to 55 with the next milestone now being 75. Mr. Z pushes us over with 5 gifted members. Terminal Stupidity with 5 and Mr. Z with 5 takes us to 55 members on the day. Welcome in. If you just got a membership, you got to get in the Discord. There's a buy 2 get 1 free on the coffee, but it's just for members. You can get 3 bags of coffee for $26, and somebody just took advantage of it. Assume Parasite says, Lono, I'll take you up on the offer. He gets 3 bags of Frickmas Roast. He gets 3 bags of Frickmas Roast, and one of them's free. Aaron says, Lono, Microsoft is now running digital ads for its Activision Blizzard acquisition at some London tube stations. It comes a month after placing full-page ads in the UK newspapers. Getting desperate now. Derek says, late chatting, watching since the first minute. Good rant-style opener. I particularly enjoy that you're calling out anybody who spun on a dime and are contradicting what they literally said 3 days ago. Thank you. This is what integrity and consistency in your reporting allows you to do. I can boot up today with lava in my veins and no fear in my heart. I can't imagine being somebody who simped for this dadgum game so hard as some of these guys did. You're feeling silly right now, and you should. Yo, it's coming. It's coming. It's a big one. We're getting a gifted member train. J Murph with 10 months says the fact that Redfall, which is not graphically intensive, is launching at 30 FPS. How the frick is Starfield going to launch at 60? Excellent question, J Murph. 10 months of members. Marky Mark gives 5 members. Supreme Samurai gifts 5 members. And Demonize gifts 5 members. That's 15, taking us to 70. You guys want this Just Dance stream? Are you guys actually going to do it? You guys actually going to get us to 3,000 members? Gifteds are just absolutely exploding right now. Get what you deserve. Gloves are off, baby. Yeah. I had to end on that note. I was like, you earned this moment. It's yours. Take the stage and take a bow. Rainbow coming in with 5. We're already at 75 on the day. It's a gifted member train. Who wants to be a part of this gifted member train? You can gift 1 at a time, 5 at a time, 20 at a time. Do it. Pah! Another gifted, another super chat coming in. Forspoken's a solid 7.5 out of 8. Definitely not a 5 out of 6. I actually didn't like Forspoken that much. I was pretty hard on Forspoken. Because I don't give a crap where the game lands. All their jimmies got rustled on Twitter because I got some heat because I got the bat out and was critical of Microsoft and the acquisition. So they all assumed, oh, he's a Sony pony. Yeah, sure. That's why I uploaded a video just a week ago about The Last of Us, and I told Naughty Dog there was a lack of clarity and ownership in their blog, and it was disappointing, and that the game port was abysmal. See, that's something you can do when you're not beholden to a platform. I'm not beholden to Sony. I'm not beholden to some big old company out there who like makes games, and I gotta kiss the ring and lick the boot. I don't gotta do that. I don't. 76 from Lone Wolf. That makes it 76 out of 100. He rolls it over. He says, let's go for the next one. A $2 tip coming in. Do you think this will impact the ABK deal at all? I think it should impact the way people think about the ABK deal. Yes. Why on earth would people not look at this and think, maybe we shouldn't let Microsoft buy a third of the market. Maybe we shouldn't let them do this. What if property that gets bought by them suddenly starts coming out like this? They just want games for Game Pass. They just want games for Game Pass. What if this is a pattern? What do you think is going to happen? I love this I told you stream. Keep them coming. Thank you. What do you think is going to happen when it gets revealed that Starfield's at 30 FPS? What do you think is going to happen? How much confidence? Like, where's your confidence in the Xbox platform at this point? Where is it? Like, track the logic with me. Just track it. People are diehard in support of Microsoft buying ABK. Yeah, man, it's their time now. They're going to do great things. Okay, why don't we look at their promises about the Series X? Why don't we look at their promises about a AAA game every quarter? Why don't we look at their promises about 60 FPS being the standard output? And then if both Redfall and Starfield come out at 30 FPS, and you look at that and you're going to blame the developers, well then what's the point in Microsoft going out and buying all this property if we're just going to keep blaming the developers? Why would you want them to buy more property? Microsoft clearly couldn't fix ZeniMax. Microsoft clearly couldn't fix these properties. Yo, 5 more gifted members from Terminal Stupidity. Let's go. Taking us to 81. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you're so confident that the ABK deal will be good, and if ZeniMax walks out onto the field and says, we got acquired by Xbox, here's 2 30 FPS games, aren't you going to look at that and say, even if we say it's Bethesda's fault and ZeniMax's fault, Microsoft, this is what you wanted? Derek says, in all seriousness, could we not argue that this in it itself is kind of a delay? I argued that yesterday. I had a clip yesterday where I said that. Microsoft walked out during the Xbox Bethesda showcase last summer. And they said, this is what you can expect over the next 12 months. The first half of 2023, they had 25 games. 25. 9 of them have been delayed. 9 of them aren't going to make it in the first half. It's almost half. 9. And guess what number 10 is? Number 10 is Redfall. Redfall's launching at 30 FPS. So 10 out of 25 games that Microsoft promised you aren't showing up on time. So again, I ask, why are you so confident that Microsoft and Xbox is going to be good for you? Why are you so confident that Microsoft buying ABK is a good idea? Why? Why? It's just more failure. It's just more disappointment. It's more broken promises. That's the platform that you think should be able to spend $70 billion in the market and just scoop up ABK. You're about to... I'm telling you right now, you're about to have a really bad year. You are. This is not a good year for Xbox. It isn't. I said numerous times that Redfall and Starfield was their chance to prove our format works. It was their chance to prove that acquisition won't disrupt quality, it won't hurt anything. And here we sit. Here we sit with 2 games, multiple delays. The first one's coming out half-baked, doesn't even have performance options, 30 FPS. I'm sorry, what? What did you say? And then if they got to come out and say the same thing about Starfield, well, how can you defend that? Isn't it Sony's fault? Sorry, I just got here at the beginning, but I'm sure we can find a way to blame Sony. It's definitely Sony's fault. Yes, Sony manufactured this. Sony bought ZeniMax and shuttered PS5 versions of Starfield and Redfall. Sony did that. Sony's requiring some form of performance parity on the Series X and the S that likely hampered this game and will likely hamper Starfield. Sony did that. Bethesda supposedly running themselves. Maybe Microsoft shouldn't be so hands-off. You know, it's interesting that you say that, Nola Origins, because I was ready for people to think that. And in an interview about Starfield, Todd Howard said that Xbox engineers are helping them with their game. That sounds pretty hands-on to me. So if Starfield comes out at 30 FPS, blame Bethesda all you want. Xbox had their hands in the cake batter. Like, do you see the inconsistency? 343 and Halo Infinite. Yeah, that's all 343's fault. Yeah, Microsoft should have been more hands-on. What are you talking about? Microsoft literally has an 18-month contractual policy that limits the productivity of 343. How is that not them being hands-on? That's literally a corporate policy that limits what 343 can do. How on earth can you look at that and be like, yeah, Microsoft wasn't hands-off? What's Microsoft supposed to hang out at the studio? Oh, and let's just put that on the table. Yeah, let's put that on the table. That's good. That's a good reason. That's a good argumentation. You know what, guys? Microsoft should be more involved. They should be more hands-on. Great. How are they going to do that after they acquire ABK? They can't do it now. They seemingly lack the ability to have hands-on and oversight over the studios they have now. Let's hand them more. That sounds like a good idea. If I had a babysitter that was struggling to babysit a hamster and a goldfish, I'm not going to put her in charge of my kids. I'm not going to say, hey, I should open a daycare. This babysitter's doing a bang-up job. If you can't have good oversight of your own companies, of your own studios, of your own property, Halo's theirs. It's theirs. If they can't have good oversight and launch a good Halo, then why in the frick do you think they should be able to have ABK? What are they going to do with ABK? You just keep blaming the studios. It's never Microsoft's fault. Metasbo with 17 months. 18-month policy, failed game launches, and Bethesda having hands tied. I've lost confidence in Microsoft. Next-gen games for my Series X in 3 years, and it's BS. Oh, no next-gen games. Right. To be fair, 343 had 3 games to figure it out. They haven't figured it out yet. I can't blame Microsoft. McCluskey, read what you just wrote really slowly, and I want you to really think about what you just said. Because I like you, and I want you to really analyze that. So 343 is screwing up 3 games in a row. And only now Microsoft's like, well, maybe we should go over there and take a look at what's going on. Wouldn't they get heavily involved after the first game that didn't do very well? This is Halo. This is your golden goose. This is your boy. This is your boy. And you're like, yeah, they completely sullied the game. Let's let them try again. It fails again. Well, you know the saying, third time's a charm. So just try again, 343. Just take another spin on the merry-go-round. We're not going to go over there and have oversight. We don't need to know what's going on. We're not going to get involved. Like, instead of assessing what might be wrong, which I would hazard a guess that the 18-month contractual policy is heavily related to the quality, you would think it's their creator game. Exactly, McCluskey. So you can't let Microsoft off the hook with Halo. You can't do that. You can't look at the history of Halo and be like, it's all 343's fault. Why were they not involved? FCat says, I understand 60 being the standard, but I don't understand people claiming that get sick from 30, because if that were true, then you didn't console game the past 2 decades. Well, no, I think you're misunderstanding, FCat. You're misunderstanding. Gotta go, can't lurk today. All right, see you later, Uncle Brada. I remember playing, and this is really going to make me look like a Sony pony. You ready? I got headaches from playing Spider-Man and God of War on my PlayStation 4 Pro. My PS4 Pro, I would end streams, I would end the day, and I would have a headache. And I'm like, why am I getting a headache? And it was literally only on the days where I played those games. Well, I had gotten accustomed to 120 and 60. I had switched to playing games on my PC. I had been playing Fortnite and I had been playing Destiny, and it was like I was used to higher frames per second. And then when I played 30, it looked blurry to me. I remember the first time I had to go back down and play 30 FPS because the raid in Destiny launched on console before it launched on PC. I literally, it hurt my eyes, like it strained my eyes. People are not being like entitled Karens and they're not being hyperbolic. It legitimately, I can't do it. It bothers me. I'm going to have to play The Legend of Zelda like only in my living room, like back from the television to try to minimize the effect. If I play something like that on my monitor, it makes me feel like I feel weird in my head and my eyes because I'm used to 60 frames per second. Yo, it's good, cream of wheat. Darkborn with a $10 super chat tip. I've been saying it's clear mismanagement. Phil spent more time writing speeches and making buzzwords than oversight. He played hundreds of hours of Vampire Survivors as the head of Xbox. That's bad. Yeah, I don't really get why he's out here tweeting about, you know, platinuming or whatever he did in Vampire Survivors. It's like, why don't you figure out what's going on at your studios, Phil? I guess all of Microsoft devs are just completely incompetent while Sony's devs are god tier. That's what the bots are implying. What it sounds like to me is that Microsoft can't foster talent. They certainly can't keep talent. Look at how many creative directors have left Microsoft. What's the count up to now? 8? How many creative directors have left? How many? Yeah, cream of wheat's in chat, Derek. I mean, even Jez Corden tweeted that the other day. He said, I think Microsoft has a talent retention problem. And I'm like, you think? Are you just now realizing this? Have you not seen how many creative directors have left? And it's always that category, creative directors. It's almost as if the corporate software approach to gaming isn't working in the creative environment. It's almost like when you force creative teams to lose half their workforce every 18 months, that really disrupts productivity. My prediction is that GTA 6 will be 4K 30 and no performance options? What are you talking about? Tons of games are 4K 30 right now. That's the other thing people don't seem to be understanding. I literally had a guy on Twitter, he was like, God of War Ragnarok runs at 4K 30. I'm like, yes. And are you making a point? Because virtually every PlayStation 5 next-gen game, I think all of them run at 4K 30. Some of them have like 4K ray tracing. Some of them have like adaptive ray tracing. Some of them have like dynamic ray tracing modes. How many 120 modes did they just add to Gran Turismo, for crying out loud? That's the point. There's modes to choose from because not all of us want to play at 4K 30. That's the point. This is why when Gotham Knights came out, people tried the same brain-dead tactic. They were like, what's the problem? Gotham Knights being at 30. Your God of War Ragnarok's 4K 30. God of War Ragnarok also has 1080-60. It doesn't have a 1080-60 mode. That's not true. You don't pick 1080-60 in the menu. It might have a dynamic 1440 mode. I don't know if it ever dips down to 1080. I don't remember the stats on God of War Ragnarok. The point is that these games offer performance modes. That's the point. Yeah, Ratchet has like 6 modes. So does Spider-Man. They've got like all these different modes you can pick. For crying out loud, Deathloop had all these modes when it launched, and Deathloop's from the same developer. I don't understand why people defend Sony or Microsoft. I've always loved Microsoft and haven't seen Sony as a good company personally, but they both kind of suck in their own ways. Can't defend either. I think the games speak for themselves. God of War Ragnarok has dynamic 4K 60. Yeah, like what are you even talking about? Just in here spouting nonsense. 1080 60. $10 from Darkborn. The sub model coupled with Microsoft isn't going to work. They constantly need new subs and retention, but they also need products. Redfall being pushed out is clearly on this for this purpose. 1 AAA game per quarter. At this point in time, consoles should have performance options. That's exactly right. God of War Ragnarok has a very high resolution at 60 FPS. It's 1080 120 with a 2.1 monitor. Oh, truth comes out. See, every time. Sorry, sure my numbers are. I'm getting at it had options. Oh, I see what you're saying. Josh wasn't taking a shot, guys. He was simply saying it had options. He was adding and saying he was trying to drive home the point that it even had 1080 120, I think is what he was saying. He was actually defending the game. He just made a mistake. He wasn't taking a dig. I understand now what he was doing. He was just basically saying, "Look, man, add up all these bullet points." Listen, think of it this way. Just calm down for a second and pretend that there's not some weird made-up console war so that guys on Twitter can farm clicks with memes and artworks and, you know, some guy did an impersonation of me and it was just a weird way to admit that he's illiterate. Listen, put all that down for just a second. Just put all that down for a second. And I want you just to think about being an Xbox Series X owner and then imagine your next door neighbor has a PS5. And every day you go back to the fence and you're just talking about the day and everything that's been going on. And every day you have a conversation about the games that you've been playing and the things that have been coming out. Don't you think by now that conversation would start to be an unpleasant one? No console war. It's just your buddy, he's got a PS5, and you've got a Series X. Wouldn't you start to feel a twinge of jealousy? Man, you got a lot of games over there. You've got a lot of next-gen games. All your next-gen games have performance options. All of them. Wow. Oh, they just added more to Gran Turismo. They got 120 modes. Wow. Well, I've been waiting on Redfall. It got delayed a second time, and they increased the price to $70, and now it's launching at 30 FPS. I won't have any of that. Wouldn't you start to feel like you weren't getting a great deal? Wouldn't you start to maybe think, I'm going to come over to your house. I want to play some of those games. Redfall is launching at 30 FPS. Yes. Performance mode will come later. This is the worst time for this news as well, especially when SOP is live today. What's that? Colt was trying to do damage control, says Jumanji on Gaz's podcast with DirectX 12s is now a problem. I mean, we've heard all this before. We've heard all this hand-waving before, and it's just never true. It's never true. Thank you, Toshibo, for upgrading to Member Plus. You guys can upgrade your membership to Member Plus for $1. It'll pull you out of the gifted member pool. Oh, State of Play today. State of Play, you pony. Sorry. Yeah, great week for Sony, by the way. Man, the energy in the room just shifted. On Monday, it was, look how good Redfall looks. Look how good Microsoft's Developer Direct was. And Sony's got one game to talk about at their State of Play. Huh. How the turntables. In a matter of days, now you're all calling for Redfall to be delayed. It ran like crap on PC. It's an embarrassment. It's a disappointment. And Sony gets to walk out and be like, sorry about your luck, little buddy. You guys want to check out 20 minutes of Final Fantasy 16? Sorry about your luck, little buddy. Sorry about that. We've only got one game to show, but I'll tell you what. It's not 30 FPS. It's not 30 FPS. You know? It's got that going for it. Look, if I was running that State of Play, I would be cheeky as a mother. I would be so cheeky. I'd be like, and we just want to make sure and make mention of the fact that this is raw gameplay running on the PS5, and it is in fact running at 60 FPS. Just keep saying it. 60 FPS, 60 FPS, 60 FPS. Like somebody makes a montage later of how many times they say 60 FPS in the 20-minute showcase. You cheeky? No. It's just the whole vibe shifted. They were acting like Redfall was gonna be like a volleyball dunk. Kaboom. Yeah, man. Jiminy Christmas. They're taking an L on ABK. See, but that's the thing. That's the thing, Amos. We're not talking about that today. If anything, this is just more ammunition to say that Microsoft should... Oh, I'm in the wrong chat on Discord. You guys in live chat, I'm so sorry. I was in members chat this whole time. Look at that. Burning Shores just released gameplay this morning as well. Pre-order now. I wasn't seeing anything you guys were saying in the Discord. I am sorry. Yeah, sorry. Me and Eugene jinxed each other. Sorry. He says, Halo Infinite issues, Redfall issues, Starfield issues. We haven't heard from Avowed in forever. Fable's apparently in a shambles. No dates on Forza Motorsport. Arc issues. When is it Microsoft's fault? Yeah. When is it Microsoft's fault, man? When are we gonna see that accountability? You know? When's it gonna happen? That's the question that I have. That's the question that I have. I'm genuinely curious about that. Hang on. I forgot to push out my short. Push it out now. Push it out now. Burning Shores at 60. Guys. I don't know if you realize this or not. My stream's in 60 FPS. I just thought you should know that. You see that? Look at that. Look at that. More power in my hand than in the power of the Xbox Series X. I'm just kidding. I like my Series X. I just want some games for it. You know? That's all. That's all I want. That's all I'm asking for. I've been saying this for months. I was like, listen, man, I have a Series X. I just want some games for it. I want to play some games. I do. Where's my Xbox controller? Oh, my kids were playing on it the other day. That fluidity. Burning Shores is going to be all PS5 power. Can't wait to play. So even if it does have 30 FPS mode, look at the difference in the game fidelity and graphics. I fully expect a 30 mode with ray tracing for Final Fantasy 16, but there's no reason Redfall shouldn't have 120. Scott, I tried to drive that home in my opening monologue. That's such a good point. What, like, seriously, what are we seeing in this gameplay? What are you seeing in this gameplay? Why can't this game run at 60, bro? What's going on? She's like, I have a suggestion. Maybe it's the Series S. Maybe they're forcing some kind of performance parity, and it's making it really hard for the developer to get really good results. Yeah, is it ray tracing? I mean, she didn't look very ray traced to me. Looks like an N64 character. That's what I'm saying. Like, the detail's not even there. And listen, just the other day, when we covered Redfall's gameplay, I said, look, it's okay for it to look like this. Like, I showed this, and I said, listen, this isn't that big of a deal to me. This isn't that big of a deal. This is meant to be a throwaway game where you play with your buds and you have some fun, right? And I said the gameplay matters more than anything. Like, this is kind of an art style choice. This isn't that big of a deal. And I was kind of defending the appearance of the game. I was telling people that it didn't matter that much, right? Members after. No, we're going straight from that to Diablo, creature. I want to dump everybody. I want to dump everybody from the Avium thing right onto the Diablo thing, and then we'll just run from Diablo to members. But I was defending this. I was like, listen, if that's the art style of the game, that's okay because of the game type. Like, the Redfall game as a game type doesn't need to be that, whoa, holy moly. We got online MVP, we got terminal stupidity, and we got Ghost in the Garage Gaming competing for the Eknor Award. These guys are beating each other up right now with gifted members. Reforge 60 FPS Roast. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat tip, Mr. Z. Welcome all in. Is the Redfall landing on the Switch? Ray tracing's overrated? Yeah, I mean, for a long time, I thought ray tracing was overrated, and then I educated myself on why so many developers want to use ray tracing, because it's going to speed up development. You have to see that element of the discussion. I think it's hard sometimes for people to see that element in the discussion, because they're assuming that, like, oh, they're just using ray tracing as a gimmick. I will not be playing X Defiant today. No. Jay Stubbles with 17 months, my man. And Dustin Straw with 9 months. Welcome back in. Welcome on those memberships, those renewals. What they need to do is mimic a fraction of our power. Look what they need to do to mimic a fraction of our power. Another 20! Oh! He's throwing down the gauntlet. Online MVP says the Eknor Award is mine. If you got a gifted membership, if you're here right now and your name got a little pling-a-ring in the chat and you now have a badge and you now have access to emotes, you have access to my members-only Discord. My coffee holiday blend right now has been discounted to $12.95, and you can get a buy two, get one free as a member. That's 3 bags of coffee for like $26. That's an amazing deal. Only for members. So basically, all those gifted members, that's them giving you access to a deal. Get in my Discord. Get in my Discord. There's a Discord link below in the description, or you can use the command in chat. Drummond, you keep saying gift me. You already have a badge. This is a great question from Strangelove. How will they put Warzone on the Switch when they can't put Redfall on the Series X? Marky Mark hits 5 months of membership and gifted some members early. Thank you so much, Marky Mark. My 3 bags of coffee arrived today. Awesome, Skylar. Enjoy it. What's good, J Pro? Listen, if you guys have never been here before, I just want to say welcome. Hopefully you've hit subscribe. Hopefully you come back for my other coverage. I cover all sorts of things. We've been covering Diablo. We've been covering the ABK deal. We've been covering, we covered Cyberpunk recently. Is it having its comeback moment? We do variety gaming coverage here, and I hope this isn't the only time you tune in just because you want to see me dunk on, Xbox, or just because you want to see me, like, I don't know, you want to hate watch me. I've actually done quite a bit of Starfield coverage. People will tell you on Twitter, he's a Sony pony. I've actually covered Starfield more, I think, than PlayStation titles. And in my Starfield coverage, I've been pretty defensive of the game. I think the game could be amazing. I am worried, in light of the Redfall information, though, about Starfield being 30 FPS as well. And so I hope you're enjoying your time here. I am a safe for work broadcaster. A lot of people throw me on in the background of their day like a podcast. So you can just tune in every day throughout the week. Always make sure you check your subscriber tab, too. If you ever come to YouTube and I'm, like, not on your homepage, just go to that subscribers tab, and it'll show you probably that I'm streaming, especially if it's during this time slot. And if Friday nights are good for you, we do a members-only stream on Friday night, and this Friday night, I will be returning to Crossfire, so make sure you guys are checking that out. Mooch reached out. They're bringing me back. They're bringing me back because of this week's news. Love your commentaries, Lono. Thank you. How's the ABK doing? Haven't heard it from the past week. The last thing we had was Sony's response to the CMA, and the CMA, I've not seen any response from the CMA yet. Let me give you guys a member count since you guys have been going so nuts today. Let me give you an overall member count. 2595. We are officially 400 members away from that 3,000 member goal for the Just Dance stream. I was told the Series S has more 120 FPS games than the PS5. Yes, you were told that by a propagandist who is basically taking a bunch of old games that have been boosted up to 120 and acting like that's some kind of an achievement. The Xbox Series S has virtually no next-gen games performing well, other than Forza. If you look at basically any of the next-gen games that have launched recently, whether it's multi-plat or even the first-party games that are landing on the Series S, they don't perform that well. In order for them to achieve 60 FPS, they typically are having the games running at like 900p or 1080 dynamic. I don't think people understand how low that is. 1080 dynamic. Number one, 1080 is old-gen resolution, and number two, 1080 dynamic means it doesn't even stay at 1080. It means it drops below 1080. Like, Hi-Fi Rush number one. Yeah, but Hi-Fi Rush is not a next-gen game. Look at it. There's nothing about it that's next-gen. It's a beautiful game. My daughter beat the game and really liked it. I thought it was an awesome game, but it's not a display of power. It's not a display of power. Daniel says, let's get to 3,000 subs. I'm trying to see Lono in an 80s workout gear. Well, the workout gear was for 3,500. I'll do the stream at 3,000, 3,500 for the workout gear. I only said that one time. I said, hey, if you guys want this, I'll do the gear if you guys hit it, because I was giving you guys like 1 day to hit it. I was giving you like a small window to hit it. Yo, it's good, Broken Lobo. You don't think if Microsoft starts releasing its next few games at 30 FPS at launch, it'll be normalized in future games? No. Like DICE normalized broken Battlefield games? I know it's different a game and a company, but if it just magically got normalized. Do you think Battlefield 2042 was normalized, and because it was normalized, it was successful? Ask Battlefield 2042 how it's doing. How's it doing? What do you mean normalized? No, it won't be normalized. You know what should be normalized? This right here. This is what should be normalized. Aaron Greenberg saying in 2020 that the 60 FPS will be the standard output. Maybe that should be normalized, since that's what they said. Microsoft this week. Yeah, this is Microsoft's big next-gen title that can't hit 60 FPS. And then Sony gets to walk out and show new gameplay from Burning Shores and Final Fantasy 16. Didn't he delete that tweet after this week? Wait. No, he didn't. There's no way he deleted that tweet. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that he deleted that tweet. It's literally in a blog. Oh, Aaron, did he delete this? No worries. This is from their official Microsoft blog. This is from their official Microsoft blog right here. We'll support up to 120 FPS. The Xbox Series X allows developers to exceed standard 60 FPS output in favor of heightened realism or fast-paced action. There's just another expression of it being the standard output. Did you see his new response? No. "2042 is doing good now, but should have been at launch." I doubt it's doing well. Just because they turned it around. Yeah, if it's just not doing bad, I doubt it has a player base to speak of. I highly doubt it. I'll be very surprised if PlayStation put out exclusives and first-party games at 30 FPS this generation. Well, I said that in my show open. Imagine if God of War Ragnarok would have done this. Imagine if Horizon Forbidden West would have done this. If they would have launched on PlayStation and been like, yeah, sorry guys, no performance mode at launch. Number one, I would have been furious. I'm like, are you kidding me? Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh, I need to update the goal. 121 over 100 here. This is how close you guys are to the next one. You're 4 away. Like, get out of here. What are you... I would have been so angry. Wait all that time for God of War and Horizon Forbidden West. You know? Oh, and look at the like-dislike ratio. This is on Bethesda's own site, by the way. Look at that. That ain't too good right there, bro. That's almost right down the middle. Yo, my man Tommy was 17 months. Microsoft's proven that bad policies drive bad results. It's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? That response was in 2020 as well. New response from 2020. I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe I'm scheduled. Thank you, creature. Do you have it set to private? Yo, Darth Nihilus is going to push us there. He's going to push us there. And anytime we're above the goal, we just roll it over. 126 out of 150. Darth Nihilus. I might have to I think I might have to refresh. I might have to refresh the stream on my end and like re-pop out the chat and all that. Hang on. Go in here, click redirect. Yeah, you must have it set to private. Since we're going to members after Diablo, wouldn't we want to discuss that? I mean, it doesn't matter. We're going to members after Diablo, though. I don't see Avium scheduled. Hang on, let me refresh. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's set to private. Okay. Save. Perfect. Actually, let's just do this. Here we go. 500, please. Hilly's asking for 500 likes. Hilly is asking for 500 likes. Fresh again. Diablo, let's go. Yeah, I got a really, really good Diablo upload for you guys today. You're going to have to make 41 characters, and I'm going to tell you why. You're going to have to make 41 characters. There we go. Perfect. We good. Gonna stream Jedi Survivor. I will stream Jedi Survivor on the launch date. We'll play it for a little. We'll play it for an hour or two, and that'll probably be the last time you ever see me play or talk about that game. Nobody supports me talking about that game. The sub base has answered. Every time I've tried to do an upload or talk about that game, nobody comes and hangs it out. Like the numbers tank. So I don't waste time on shows and games that the sub base turns their nose up to. It's a waste of time. So, it'll be great on the launch date, but, yeah. It'll be great on the launch date, but after that, forgot about Diablo. Can't forget about Diablo, baby. That's going to be a good video. Hello, Derek says, it's at least the second huge title that is getting officially released, but with a huge delay built in, similar to Halo Infinite. I don't think we can overstate that. They're literally unfinished. I think that's exactly the right point, Derek, because not only are they unfinished, they are delivering a game unfinished after it was delayed. After. So it's another game launching in an unfinished state that they delayed. Like, look how long they delayed. Look how long they delayed Halo, and then it launched and wasn't ready. What's worse? It's definitely the new Craig. Oh yeah. This is the new Craig right here. This is the new Craig. This is their new god. This is what Microsoft has to show for their acquisition. This is Redfall, baby. Suck it, PlayStation 5. You don't get to play it. Hey, somebody ordered some coffee 7 minutes ago. Kale ordered 3 bags of light roast, and one of those bags was free. Why? Because she's a member, and she cashed in on the buy 2, get 1 free in the Discord. Make sure and do that. Make sure and do that. Let me quickly check something. Community pods I enjoy. Hey, I appreciate the shout out on Twitter, Lobo. Give me 1 second. Okay, Abe! Abe just gifted 5 members, taking us to 131 on the day. A humongous day for the channel. A humongous day for the channel, and my internet is back on. Easy to spread love, man. Good luck. I know, I really appreciate that. I do. Some of y'all have been so kind and so just really, really nice. There's just so many nice people on Twitter. There's a lot of haters on there that want to attack me and say terrible things, and the people that shine, you know, and step out and say nice things, it means a lot. It really does. In a sea of nasty, you know, some of y'all are beacons. In a puddle, my wife says. In a puddle of nasty. Yeah, Twitter's just a puddle. W channel, thank you. And guys, keep cashing in on that benefit, man. So many kind people gifted members today. You can jump in on your own for $5, but once you're a member, man, we are clearing through this inventory fast. It's marked down to $12.95, and you can get a buy 2 get 1 free. That's, if you're a coffee drinker, it's like $26 for 3 bags of coffee. That is a crazy good deal. I don't even think you can get that much coffee at like Target when they're doing a sale. You're the man of the moment. Well, I appreciate that. I don't know what you mean, but I appreciate the response to the coverage, man. I really do. You know what felt really good yesterday? Let me just tell you about how yesterday I experienced it. Starfield stream is going, and we're talking about multiplayer. It's not doing that well. I think people are just kind of like tuned out about Starfield until we get more information and until the showcase happens, right? We haven't had the best of luck the last couple times we've covered it, and then usually the VOD picks up views later, but in the live environment, we just don't get like a super strong response. Well, in the middle of that stream, the Redfall 30 FPS news breaks. Is it instant coffee or beans? It's pre-ground coffee. It's pre-ground coffee. And my wife and kiddos ship it to you. So it's literally, you're just supporting a small business. Like my kids put thank you notes in the bags. And the only reason we don't do whole beans is because I have to order it in bulk. So like 500 of these bags show up in my house. I can't do like half whole bean, half ground. Can't do that. And if you go to reforgeroast.com, it'll give you the flavor profiles on all of the coffee. It's not instant coffee. Yes, it does not melt. You have to put this in an actual coffee maker. It's, drip style or however you like to do it. And people in chat will tell you how good it is. But the thing that was really nice about yesterday is I was like, I was obviously seeing all these people streaming and, kicking up their channels and kicking up their videos. And obviously, I'm sitting here thinking, man, if I was a more traditional YouTuber, I could be firing off a video right now and capitalize on the hype. But then I was like, that's not what we do. Right? That's not what we do. We do the work. We do the research. I put a lot of work into that opening monologue. I thought that opening monologue was going to take me maybe an hour. It took me about an hour and 45 minutes to write that opening monologue. Because it was like, I wanted to be so careful. I wanted to think about every angle. I want to think about every aspect of this. Because it wasn't just like, oh man, let's make fun of Redfall or let's make fun of Xbox. It was no. I want this to be good, high caliber coverage. And I think people have been responding really well to it. So those of you that have been responding well to the monologues and leaving nice comments on the VODs after the fact, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the support that the channel's been receiving, especially all the memberships. I hope you guys, maybe if you got a gifted membership, I hope you start to pick up your own membership. I think that would be amazing to start to see more and more people kind of jumping in on their own, because our gifteds are so generous. But when you were jumping in on your own, you're making room for other people. And I think that that's awesome. I prefer research and facts, so thank you. I just noticed your Venom shirt. Yeah, the shirt command, hang on. The shirt command is wrong. I can update it. We are partnered with 80s Tees, and this is one that they sent me. I was previously wearing a Venom. There we go. And then my glasses are from Gamer Advantage. These are Storm frames, and you can support me by ordering frames over there and getting a discount. We haven't had a lot of people do that recently, but if you do like blue light blocking glasses, I have all kind of different frames that I wear from Gamer Advantage. And they're very affordable. They're the lightest, like most comfortable glasses I wear. As somebody who wears glasses, they're great for when you're gaming or wearing headphones and everything else. I've stopped leaving comments on your Halo video. If you need me to start again, let me know. I know you think it's funny, but it actually is way more helpful when you comment on, like, recent videos that are relevant. Do you YouTube full-time? I do. I do this full-time. This is my full-time gig. I provide for my wife and 2 kids through content creation. And primarily, I'm able to do this because of super generous people that just continue to gift memberships and keep the membership numbers going. Because as a live streamer, we don't really make a lot off the ad revenue. Like, I'm not some big-time YouTuber that can upload a video and then 3 or 4 times a week just, have bangers of uploads. We have really good videos. Like, if you watch our videos, they all perform very well, but because they're live streams, I get most of the views right now. Like, right now, this stream has been viewed like almost 3,000 times, and then as a VOD, it'll probably get viewed another 2,000 or 3,000 times. So it'll be sitting like a 5,000 or 6,000 viewed video. Well, that's great, but half of its views, the majority of its views, happened in the live environment. Well, that means I don't make much from that. This right here makes all the difference in the world. So if you think, oh, it's only $5, it's no big deal, I'm not going to do a membership, you can literally do $5 a month for me, and it is immensely helpful. Like, this is mountainous compared to me having to be, like, running ads every 10 minutes. That's me being kind of transparent as a content creator. Some people like that, some people don't, but I'm just being real with you. I get 60 to 75% of my channel's viewership happens right now, which means I don't have a lot of ads hitting. More people crying about frame rate. I will stand with 30 FPS is completely fine with me. That's fine. You can accept subpar performance, and you can accept something that wasn't promised. That's fine. Listen, you not having standards is your own choice. The rest of us have standards that were set by the marketing and by what the company stated when they were selling these consoles. Your lack of standards means nothing. Your lack of standards means nothing. If somebody came to you and said, I'm going to sell you this TV is going to do 4K. Like, oh, that's awesome. All you got to do is hook it up to this thing, and you get it, and you do it, and then you're not getting 4K. And you're like, well, that's fine. I didn't get 4K on my last TV. You know what I would call you? I would call you a sucker. I would call you a sucker. You think 30 FPS is fine in 2023 after being promised 60 FPS, upwards of 120 FPS? You think 30 FPS is fine? You're a sucker. You bought a really expensive piece of plastic on a promise that you're not getting. There's nothing else to call that other than being a sucker. I didn't buy into this generation of consoles to get 30 FPS. I got 30 FPS 7 or 8 years ago. I got 30 FPS in a lifetime ago. Need to go to work. Here's another 10. Yo, my man Terminal Stupidity, thank you for the 5 spot. I appreciate that so much. Or are you about to do another 10 members? You're a madman. Terminal Stupidity, Ghost in the Garage Gaming, and Online MVP are competing for the ECNOR Award, and there goes another 10 members. 141 on the day. Anbu says, it's not acceptable to have less than 60 FPS. The consoles can do it and have the hardware. It's just laziness on Bethesda's behalf. But that's kind of been their MO the past 10 years. Really, Anbu? So Deathloop and Ghostwire were lazy games that didn't hit 60? Last I checked, Deathloop got amazing scores and award nominations. Now, I didn't agree with those scores and those award nominations, but it got them. And it had performance options. And so did Ghostwire. It's kind of weird. Same developer. I wonder what happened. Maybe getting purchased mid-dev cycle and scrapping all of their work on the PS5. I don't know. Maybe that caused a morale shift. Maybe Microsoft doesn't actually allow companies to flourish under their ownership. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities here. Maybe Microsoft forces some kind of feature or performance parity for first-party property, and they're having trouble with it. Maybe that's why Starfield got delayed. 60 FPS on a phone, yet Redfall can't 30 F. Yeah. Yet Redfall 30. That's right. It's pronounced Anbu. I always thought it was Anbu. Don't like calling devs lazy. Barrier. Oh my gosh. Hang on a minute. Who did this? LOL. I gotta tweet that one. Oh, I'm on the wrong account again. No. I'm on the wrong account. I keep sending tweets on the Reforge Media account. That's good. That's good work. That's good work. Whew. You make this YouTube stuff look so easy. Well, I appreciate that. Loving Game Pass. Thank you, Microsoft. You're loving... Yeah. Game Pass is great, dude. Game Pass is great. You know what's great about Game Pass? I'm going to tell you something that's really, really great about Game Pass. You get to dodge another full-priced game that's not ready. Right there, baby. That's the value of Game Pass. Perfect image with a $2 tip. What do you think with the direction of Sony gaming for Q-Link? I saw a really good thread about Sony's potential lean into cloud gaming, and I don't know. I think people are writing off that portable device way too quickly. The rumors and leaks about the Q Lite and cloud gaming and remote play, I think people are writing that off too quickly. I would wait and see what they actually have in store for that. I saw a really great thread from Zubitech about Sony's push into cloud gaming. Again, the major bottleneck, the biggest problem with cloud gaming is always going to be the American internet infrastructure. That's always going to be the bottleneck every time. Rest of the world is ready for cloud gaming to a certain degree. With the way that they've got Wi-Fi and high speeds available everywhere, and we're sitting over here looking stupid. We're just sitting over here looking so stupid, like 27th in the world with respect to internet infrastructure and speeds. You know, it's bad. It's real bad. And that's a bottleneck for cloud gaming. You can't get cloud gaming off the ground. You cannot get cloud gaming off the ground. You just can't. In America, you can't. Because that's how everybody's going to experience it. They're going to experience it through that. They're going to experience it through bad, shoddy internet. Solemn says, I need anyone defending 30 FPS to look me in the eye and tell me that they either have not played above that or that they are insert mean name here or a liar. American internet will kill cloud. Yeah, I'm telling you. I want the Q Lite. My wife likes to watch TV, and I like to game. Win-win. That's right, baby. You just sit there and play right next to her. Game Pass killed Xbox because all the focus on Game Pass. Devs aren't making good games. Yeah, let's talk about this for a second, okay? Let's talk about this for a second. Because my man Doc Dark called me out the other day in a video, and he misunderstood my point. But he was making a profound point. He was arguing against me. Could we get 500 likes on the video, by the way? We only need 8 more likes. We only need 9 more to hit this goal. Once we hit 150, I'll give you guys a total member count because we've got to be getting, again, we're getting real close to 3,000 members again. So what Doc was saying was, his argument was, he misunderstood me because what I was saying was, let me read you my tweet because I want you guys to see. I love Doc. I do. I love Doc like real life love. Like he's like a guy that I would hang out with in real life, and he and I we're brothers in a spiritual sense. Let me pull this up here. And he might be on the show Friday. And I'm going to be on Crossfire on Friday night. Okay, so let me scroll down and find this tweet because I want to read the tweet to you and show you what I said. Because I was basically saying that this is a trope of Game Pass now. It's becoming a trope and a defense of Game Pass. Where is it? Here it is. So this is what I tweeted. I was tweeting, Red Dragon was just showing what people were saying with the likes and the dislike ratio. And I said, it's become a trope of Game Pass at this point. If a game is mediocre or bad, it's thank goodness for Game Pass. That's not the value I signed up for. I want solid AAA games at a better cadence. It's not supposed to be a mediocre dumping ground. Now, Doc Dark replied to this, and he said, Game Pass is not hurting games. He's like, if games come out and they're mediocre, it's not Game Pass's fault. Well, I'm starting to wonder if that's not actually true, though. Right? I'm wondering if that's not actually true. And here's why. If Microsoft's goal for Game Pass is a cadence of AAA games, if that's the priority, that priority trumps all. And if that priority trumps all, you're going to end up with games that look like this. Because it just needs to get out the door. You just need to get this thing out the door so we have something for Game Pass. If Starfield is struggling with optimization, if Starfield is struggling to make things run well on the Series S, that doesn't matter. Get the game out the door. That leaker literally said that Redfall was in bad shape, Starfield was in worse shape. And here we go, Redfall's in bad shape. And he also said that Bethesda wanted Starfield to land in the fall, and Microsoft wanted it to land in June. And look where Starfield's landing. Ta-da! It's landing in the fall. What if he was right? What if Microsoft wanted Starfield in June only because of Game Pass? They wanted that cadence of delivery. Look at what that's going to do to games long term. You really want Microsoft owning ABK? You really want Microsoft owning a bunch more games so they can come out and look like this and not have 60 FPS performance mode? Do you ever think that maybe Sony's concern about Microsoft degrading Call of Duty is more endemic to how Microsoft treats property than some kind of a vengeance track of, oh, they're going to try to hurt us and give us bugs? Maybe it's the fact that Microsoft's more focused on shoveling games out for their subscription service and not worried about a virtuous cycle of quality games that are bought at full price and therefore have to be good. A game doesn't have to be good if it's on Game Pass. When we had the Game Pass debate, me, 30 and So Gaming, and Doc Dark, 30, near the end of the stream, he nailed Doc in a good way, in a friendly way, but he nailed him. He said, how can you complain about Starfield not having 60 FPS if you're not buying it? If you're just playing it on Game Pass, how can you call them to account? Hey man, I bought this game and this game's trash. You don't get to say that anymore. It's, hey man, I tried your game out on this subscription service and it was really bad. That doesn't quite have the same amount of weight as a consumer, does it? You go to a buffet restaurant, and if some of the food's kind of subpar, and the chicken's a little dry, and the meat's a little tough, what are you going to go and say, oh, I can't believe this? This isn't high quality food. They'd be like, it's a buffet, bro. What? But if I go to a 5-star restaurant and I order the ribeye and it comes out subpar, you better believe I have a right to complain. I have a whole different approach as the consumer. I ordered from the top shelf of the menu. When I buy a $70 game from Sony, I expect greatness. What? Because that's what I'm paying for. The devs get paid a wage. The bag Microsoft drops for the game and Game Pass goes to the publisher, not the devs. Yeah, at least it's on Game Pass. Oh, that's what Game Pass is for. Don't you see how the frog has been slowly boiled in the water? For years now, since Game Pass has been a thing, what do people say? People say two things. They say a positive thing. I get to try a lot of games I would never try. I've discovered a bunch of games I never would have tried. More on that in a moment. The other thing people say is, Game Pass has really protected me from a lot of crappy games. Thank God for Game Pass. That game was really bad. So you've been conditioned to think that that's a value point of Game Pass, is that Game Pass protects you from mediocrity. Game Pass protects you from bad game launches. What happens when one of the centerpieces of Game Pass is a first-party property? What are you going to say then? What are you going to say when Starfield comes out and it's 30 FPS and has performance problems? I'm not saying that it will, but all signs are pointing to that being a very real possibility. What are you going to say then? Well, thank God for Game Pass. Redfall looked like a Nintendo 64 game and couldn't even launch with performance mode. Thank God for Game Pass. Starfield was 30 FPS at launch. I've not been conditioned. Well, not everybody's been conditioned, but that's the point. If you track the dialogue, if you look at how people have been talking about this, that's what people say. Thank goodness for Game Pass. Another stinker. I avoided another stinker. Yeah, thank God I don't have to spend money on it. And here's the thing. Here's the real son of a gun in the room. Here's the real son of a gun in the room. Is if Microsoft is looking at the player behavior on Game Pass, like, let's look at Wolong as an example. 85% of the people who played Wolong on PlayStation beat the first boss. 30-something% of the people who played Wolong on Xbox beat the first boss. Do you remember when we were talking about the game trials on PlayStation and people said, well, game companies are going to take advantage of a game trial ecosystem? Because I said a game trial ecosystem would be very, very good for the consumer, because if you get to play the game before buying it, it better be good. And you know what people said? You know what they said? They said, well, game companies will just make the first couple hours really, really good, and then the rest of the game will suck. Because that's what developers do, right? They have a way of making, like, you know, the game exists on a continuum, and they can go back and say, make the first 2 hours good and the rest of the game crap. Like, that's how game development works. It doesn't work like that, by the way, but that's what people are saying. Imagine the inverse of that. Well, a majority of our player base, a majority of the people on Game Pass, they don't get past the first hour of the game. They just kind of buffet style games now. They kind of play games very infrequently. Do you ever think that maybe that market and that consumer and that level of consumer behavior and demand might affect the way that Microsoft treats video games? It might affect the way that Microsoft treats their developers and the projects? Todd Howard sits down and says, this is our vision for Elder Scrolls 6. Dev cycle this long, game size this big. This is our vision. Can you envision a meeting where Microsoft says, yeah, but you see, you're a Game Pass developer now. The games you make go on Game Pass and bolster its quality and value. So we really just need the game to come out this year. and in this quarter. And you can fix things later. What I'm saying is not scandalous. What I'm saying is quite reasonable. These are realities that face any property under Microsoft's ownership. Look at Halo. Look at Redfall. And Starfield's right around the corner. Look at the 9 titles that didn't make it. Look at the 9 titles that Microsoft said you'd be playing in the first half of 2023, and they didn't make it. It's not scandalous to think that Microsoft's taking a very product-driven, corporate-driven approach to creative process, and that's why you end up with a crappy Halo. That's why you end up with a Redfall that looks like this and has no performance options at launch. Just get it out the door. Perfect image with a $2 tip. I'm a Sony fan because it's quality and good. Coach, thank you. Todd did that before they were acquired by Microsoft. I'm not putting all the blame on Microsoft, by the way, but the problem with that theory is, Anbu, the problem with that theory is Arkane doesn't have that history. Dishonored 1, Dishonored 2, and Deathloop. All of those games didn't launch. I mean, I actually don't remember if Dishonored 1 and 2 were glitchy or buggy. I didn't like them that much. They're generally hailed as great games. And Deathloop was hailed as a great game. And Deathloop didn't have performance problems. Deathloop wasn't an optimized mess. So you have to ask the question, what happened? Look at Ghostwire Tokyo, another game that had performance options and performed just fine on the PS5. And then it goes over... Oh, and then it goes over to the Xbox system and it has performance problems. Now you should really start asking the question, is there maybe something wrong with the Xbox ecosystem? Is there something wrong with the Xbox hardware? Is Xbox requiring games to come over there and do certain things or optimize certain things or gut certain things because of the Series X? You forgot Prey too. Yeah, Prey. Prey was a highly praised game. Now, Prey has sort of a cult following. Prey wasn't some like massive commercial success. But it was generally praised as a good game. I actually really, really liked Prey until I got really far in it. I thought the difficulty sloped in a really weird way. I just suddenly found myself dying a lot. And I just felt like it was an odd... I felt like the difficulty cliff. There was a cliff in that game, and I very much did not enjoy it. I don't get how Microsoft has gone so south since the 360. Xbox One came out, and they still haven't recovered. I will tell you. I will tell you what I think happened, Kylo. I think when they almost decided to shut down the Xbox gaming division, and they were given a stay of execution, I believe that they were given a limited reach, limited scope, limited budget. And that's what we've been living in. We've been living in the shadow of, okay, well, we're only going to give you so much. And now what are they trying to do? They're trying to overcorrect. Look at what they're spending. I swear, Lono, the streams are so good. I can't wait until YouTube Music fully integrates podcasts so I can listen to my car if I ever miss a stream. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Narwaffle. Perfect image with another $2 tip. Xbox RAM and Vcache is completely different than the PlayStation 5. I can't really comment on the latter two as I've never played them. Could have sworn Ghostwire was a PlayStation exclusive. Deathloop and Ghostwire were timed exclusives to PlayStation. They were, but they're multi-plat games. A timed exclusive doesn't mean it's not multi-plat. It was designed for multiple platforms. And when both Ghostwire and Deathloop landed on PlayStation 5, they had performance choices, and they both ran fine. I didn't like Deathloop for gameplay reasons. I didn't think it was that innovative, and I didn't think it was that good of a game, but it didn't have any performance problems. It ran fine. Lono, the developer saying they use PS5 as a baseline for Xbox Series X for making games, that seems to be true. Would Redfall look better on Xbox if they didn't scrap the PS5 version? Right, that's the question. I'm trying to drive that theory home. I have a theory I have a theory that this right here from the Bethesda blog post, Todd did not think they were scrapping Starfield and Redfall on PS5. I don't think he thought that. He says, like our original partnership. Basically, he's saying nothing's changing. This one is about more than one system or one screen. So, guys, just like our original partnership, this is not about one system. And then in the wake of the acquisition, they're told to scrap Redfall on the PS5 and scrap Starfield on the PS5. Do we need to draw an analogy to Destiny? I think we do. Hey, nobody taking us to 146 members on the day. Another 5 bomb will put us at 150, and I'll give you guys a total member count. Don't forget, if you got a membership, you guys really need to consider getting in the Discord. Take advantage of the buy 2, get 1 free coffee code. We're doing that as a special for members this month. Let's make a comparison to Destiny. And you're like, Destiny? Why would you compare this to Destiny? Well, track with me. There was an article that came out that unveiled the fact that a 2-hour supercut from Joseph Staten was rejected by the higher-ups at Bungie Corporate. Basically, Bungie looked at what they had put together. They said it was campy, cutscene heavy, it was too linear. They delayed the game for 1 year, broke the game in pieces, and Joseph Staten left. Marty couldn't even stay there. Marty O'Donnell, the composer, he left, and there was a bunch of other people that left. It essentially formed what I always called a creative dissonance at the company. There were people that agreed with Joseph Staten's vision, and there were people that agreed with the more live service, more drip-fed version of the game, and it caused a fracture. Destiny was in a terrible state as a game for a very long time. It only hit like a good golden era in its last year with Rise of Iron and the Age of Triumph, the Age of the Raids, right? Then Destiny 2 launches and the creative dissonance starts all over again. It's been over-casualified. You have different visions of the game, and they don't actually course-correct the game for years after basically firing a bunch of people who didn't see the game vision the same way as them. Okay? So, yes, Chapter 8. Look at that. Look at that. You flirt. 151. Taking us to 151. 175 is the next. I promised you guys a member count. Let me give you one. So, the reason I'm drawing this analogy is I want you to imagine the creative vision for Redfall and Starfield getting disrupted and having your work thrown in the trash. What will that do to the morale? What will that do to the game? Look at how Destiny 1 launched. And when I look at Redfall and I look at Starfield, do you want to know what I see? Development disruption. That's what I see. We have a launch date set in ink. Not anymore. We have a game that looks like this that for some reason can't launch with performance mode. Marty was kicked because he didn't like the Activision agreement. That's not entirely true. There were reports that Marty was very disruptive in the wake of what they did to Joseph Staten's vision. Marty became a disruption at the company, and it wasn't just in relation to the Activision deal, because the Activision deal had at that point in time, he was more frustrated by what happened with Joseph Staten's vision, is at least what I read. Again, this is word of mouth. Total member count right now, 2605. We're officially in the 2600s. I've been covering video games for 8 years, and where there's smoke, there's fire. There is something amiss here. Something went wrong. There's no way a game like Redfall, from a company that made Deathloop and Ghostwire, is suddenly in the shape that it's in. Something else happened. Now, my theory is Arkane decided, you know what? You came in, gutted our work. We have to make changes. We have to take things out. We have to optimize for the Series S. Oh, and any sales incentives that we had on selling this game just got shot to sunshine because we're no longer selling it on the PS5, which is the platform that has the most consoles in circulation, and games sell incredibly well over there if you look at any of the revenue reports. Instead of us doing that, well, we're going to just put the game on Game Pass. What do you think that did to the morale? What do you think that did to the creative vision of Redfall? Well, does the game need to be amazing now? Or does the game need to sell lots of copies? We threw half our work in the trash. Look at what happened to Destiny when they did that. When they chopped up what Joseph Staten had created. Look at what it did to the creative vision of the game. Look at what it did to the quality of Destiny when Destiny launched in its vanilla state, Destiny 1. This is just like that. You disrupt the creative vision, you scrap work and throw it in the trash. What do you think that does to the game's quality and what the devs think? Devs would never be that childish. I don't think you're thinking in the realm of what I'm thinking, Paul. Anima with a $5 tip. Is it fair to say Redfall launches with the quality mode with the way that it looks? Yeah, like this is quality mode. Track with what I'm saying, Paul. I'm not saying they all got together and said, let's ruin this game. I'm saying this is an emergent property of a morale damage. When you damage the morale at a company like this, and you basically tell them, all that work, throw it in the trash. That audience you were going to sell to, you're not selling them anymore. Arkane's a French company, as Eugene is saying. They do great in the PlayStation market. You're not going to sell in that market now. Your game's going on Game Pass. What do you think that did to the morale of the devs? I'm not saying they all got together in the lunchroom and hatched a plan and said, bro, let's ruin this game. No, I think motivation killer, morale killer. Where's the passion? Where's the passion at that point? Ghostwire's Tango, Arkane made Deathloop. Sorry. Bethesda is Ghostwire Deathloop. Arkane is just Deathloop. Sorry, I misspoke. It's hard to keep it all straight because, like, in one breath we're talking about Bethesda, in some breaths we're talking about ZeniMax, and in some breaths we're just talking about Arkane. Arkane is in Austin, Texas. I thought they were in France. Headquartered in France. Lyon, France. Arkane Studios is a French video game developer based in Lyon, France. They're not in Austin, Texas. Get your facts straight. Just like how Phil Spencer canceled the studio who made Scalebound. Oh yeah, we forgot about Scalebound. Another Microsoft triumph. Oh, they have studios in Lyon and Austin? Well, they're based in France. It's a French company is the point that we were making. I'm saying it would be an emergent property. I'm just saying, I used to push myself. Chapter 8 is saying this. I used to push myself to bill insane hours a year because I knew I would get a huge bonus. If you announced bonuses would be cut in half, you'd get half my effort. That's exactly right. Arkane Austin made Redfall. So you're saying only the studio in Austin worked on Redfall? Redfall's being made by Arkane Austin. Okay. Well, okay, so that hurts the French thing. Ignore the French thing. We don't need that for the theory. Just track with what I'm saying. I'm not a psychology major, but surely if you're working with a potential for money incentive due to sales, you're going to work harder than you would for an upfront cost with no further incentive. That's the point that we're making. Forget the French thing. Eugene put that in chat. I grabbed it and I added it to my rant. The main point that I'm trying to make is I see similarities to what happened to Destiny. That's what I see. I see similarities. It's like, hang on just a minute. Destiny scrapped the vision of the game, threw things in the trash, and then what happened? It hurt the property. It hurt the game. The game came out and clearly wasn't ready. I don't recommend this channel. Hang on, I gotta pull up this thing that we're gonna watch. What's it called? Vivarium or whatever the frick. Immortals. This is gonna be a freaking terrible funnel. I need the actual link. Immortals of Avium. That's just a horrible name. Yo, a $5 tip from Perfect Image. You have to understand, a PC builders want at least 100 FPS. Xbox don't have to embed the graphics because of the PS5. Understand from a data point why it's not working. I'm not understanding the point that you're making. I'm understanding the point that you're making. Xbox don't have the embed graphics card opposed to PS5. Understand from that point why controller... I don't know what you're trying to say. Eliminate the ecosystem and Xbox starts making better games. Thing is, shareholders would rather scrap them before attempting to actually earn customers from AAA content. Listen, I'm going to make one final point. I'm going to make one final point, and then we have to shift to this, because we're going to be watching this together and breaking it down and talking about it, and then I'm going to send you to a Diablo video, all right? So I got to make one final point here. The real concern you should have is, if I'm right, then these studios are not long for this world. If I'm right, then these studios are not long for this world. That could be another factor here. If these studios know they're on their way out, they're going to get repurposed, they're going to get restructured, they're going to get downsized. Maybe they already know what's on the other side of Redfall. Maybe Arkane Austin knows, once we get on the other side of Redfall, bro, we're going to get put on all these stupid Game Pass projects. Now, people are going to say, well, Bethesda has a lot of their own autonomy. Again, to what degree, we don't know. A lot of this seems like emergent sabotage. It seems like passive mutinous behavior. The creative director of Arkane is like, oh yeah, the creative director for Redfall, he's like, yeah, we scrapped the PS5 version. Why'd he say that? Why did Redfall send that tweet out? Literally on the heels of Redfall looking bad in the market and the PR being a nightmare, or the PR being at least shaky, the official Redfall Twitter sends that out? Why? It all seems like something happened. Was this a studio decision or Xbox? Bethesda, according to Jason Schreier, Bethesda has its own PR marketing department and a lot of autonomy. So again, it's just a theory, but it's concerning, because if I'm right, these studios, they're about to go through some restructuring, or they're about to go bye-bye. I want you to think like Microsoft. Let's just imagine this is all on the studio. This is all in the studio's fault. Arkane's like, we can't make it, man. There's no way we can get this game out the door. Morale went in the toilet. Productivity went down. We lost all that work for PlayStation 5. We were going to sell it over there. It was going to do amazing. And now we're making the game for Game Pass. I got to make the thing run on the Series S. I got to rip out all these features, all these functions, because now we're owned by Microsoft, and it's a first-party property, and we got to have feature and performance parity. We can't do that. So it's not like this, they hatched a plan. It's more, this is just an emergent property of morale loss, productivity loss, work loss. We forget the creative director was interviewed in French. Yeah, by IGN France. That's right. I interviewed at ZeniMax Bethesda. They told me nothing would change with how they operate post-acquisition. What the heck is the title of the stream? LOL, not another 30 FPS game. Oh, yeah. Yep. Listen. It's just a theory. It's just a theory. I once had to cancel a software project. The lead programmer was pissed at me. His heart was in it, and I felt sorry for him. You got to consider that. You got to consider that in the grand scheme of things. All right, we got to head over to this stream. Hang on a minute. I also have a Diablo stream for you guys today. The Diablo stream is going to establish why in the world you're going to need to make 41 characters for Diablo. It's a good video. Is it just me or developers and their games just been really poor in their dedication lately? I can't imagine staying dedicated, watching my work thrown in the trash bin, watching half of the audience that was going to be able to buy my game suddenly not be able to buy it, and then I have to put my game on Game Pass. You can't see how that would kill motivation? We do not have a Diablo stream. Yeah, it's going to be an upload. It's going to be an upload. Yeah. All right. Redirect sometimes doesn't work. So that link in chat is where we are going. That will also be the featured video on my channel. We're going to watch this right here. We're going to watch this together and break it down. It's a brand new game. It is a new single-player first-person magic shooter created by Ascendant Studios and released as an EA original. EA originals have actually been kind of hitting lately. So that link in chat is how to get there. All right. This stream is ending. When we go over to this new stream, help me out. Smash the dickens out of the like button. There's a bunch of you that are coming with us. Thank you so much for checking out another Reforge Gaming stream. We will be covering and co-streaming Immortals of Avium, an official reveal trailer. You can see there, it happens in 13 minutes. So if you're watching the past broadcast, you can skip ahead by 13 minutes to watch the gameplay. I'll then be doing a breakdown. I will then be taking everybody over to a new Diablo 4 video that I have about why you will need to create 41 characters in Diablo. So be sure to check out that upload. We also did a stream today about Redfall being at 30 FPS. So if you missed that stream, be sure to check it out. I'm going to end that stream and bring everybody over on Redirect, or you guys can use the link in chat and it'll bring you over as well. And make